"Where are you going?" Hafez asked. The driver's face soured. "Everything is in the papers." Hafez didn't like that response at all. "Get out of the truck," he ordered. The driver looked up at the falling snow, reluctantly grabbed his coat off the seat, and slid to the frozen ground. "What did I do?" he asked, as he threw on his heavy soiled coat and jammed his hands into the pockets. "I didn't ask you about the papers, you whore. I asked you where you were going. Do you not know where you are going without looking at your papers?" "Quetta," the driver said. He spat on the ground, partially in contempt of the guards, but ambiguously enough that they couldn't accuse him of it. Hafez knew Quetta. It was a distant Pakistani city. "Why?" "Because they told me to go to Quetta. Why do you think I'm going to Quetta? For vacation?" Hafez looked at the truck. It was a Russian-made stake truck that had seen better days. The diesel engine idled roughly. The back of the truck was full of random scrap metal exposed to the elements. "What is in the truck?" "Scrap metal." "Where are you coming from?" "From the Aral Company in Kazakhstan." Hafez studied the papers in his gloved hands. "You are driving a piece of shit truck from Kazakhstan to Pakistan, all the way through Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Iran, to deliver scrap metal?" The driver hunched his shoulders. "If you think it is stupid, tell the one who is paying me to ship it. Now I must go. My penis is going to freeze off." "I don't care about you or your frozen penis," Hafez said, stepping in front of the man. "Pull over there," he said, pointing to a dirt spot to the right of the road. "Ah," the driver protested. Hafez warned, "Move your truck over now, or you will never pass through this country." The driver held his tongue. He climbed back into the cab. He forced the reluctant transmission into first gear and moved the truck to the side. "Get the machine," Hafez ordered to the other soldier. The older guard protested in Urdu, knowing the driver couldn't understand them. "What is the point? We have never found anything, and if we drop the machine, it will break, and they will make us pay." "Get it," Hafez ordered. The old guard mumbled as he walked to the storage shed behind their guard shack and took out the American instrument they had been trained on. It rarely got used. He carried it to Hafez and held it out. "Here." On the hill, Khan had seen enough. He couldn't hear what was being said, but he knew by the gestures of the guards that his plan was on the verge of collapse. "Let's go," he said angrily. "Get your weapons ready." Khan and the men with him ran to their two trucks and tore down the dirt road in the dark with their lights off. "You do it," Hafez said at the checkpoint. "I'm going to watch this driver. I don't trust him." The older guard turned the machine on and watched the needle as he walked around the truck, ready to find nothing so the inspection could be over and he could go back to the warm shack. Directly above the view meter on the instrument was a small plate that said in English, "A gift of the American people." He watched the needle as he turned the corner to the back of the truck. Suddenly, it jumped to life and bounced around the lighted dial. He looked closely at the indicator, then at Hafez, who was standing by the cab of the truck with the driver. He motioned with his head for him to come to the back of the truck. Hafez frowned in concern and started walking to the back of the truck. "Stay right there," he said to the driver. He joined the older guard. "What?" he asked. The guard simply looked at the meter on the box. Hafez followed his gaze, realized what it meant, and stepped back from the truck. The older guard followed suit. 1,200 millirentgen per hour, Hafez exclaimed. "What is this?" Hafez screamed at the driver. "What are you doing? What do you have in there?" he asked, pointing to the scrap metal piled in the back of the truck. Hafez turned and ran to the guard shack for the phone as the two unlighted trucks rounded the hill and headed straight for him. Hafez stopped and watched the trucks come. He looked back at the older guard, who was standing stupidly next to the truck, staring at the view meter on the instrument. The driver was inching away from the truck. Hafez stepped toward the oncoming trucks and took his assault rifle off his shoulder. He didn't like the way this was developing. Khan and the others came to a stop 50 feet from the stopped truck. The men jumped out of the trucks and pointed their weapons at Hafez. Khan yelled at the driver in English, "Get in the truck! Drive on! Now!" "No," Hafez said, aiming his rifle at the truck driver. "Get away from the truck. It has radioactive material on board and is being confiscated." The driver looked at Khan and Hafez and slowly moved toward the truck. "Stop!" Hafez screamed. Khan lowered his assault rifle toward Hafez and fired. The bullets hit Hafez and drove him back. Hafez fired into the sky as he fell down, screaming. The driver ran to the door of the truck and climbed into the cab. The old guard stood motionless, holding the machine, unsure what was happening or what to do. He finally moved behind the truck, dropped the instrument, and unslung his assault rifle. The others with Khan began firing at the older guard, but he was too far behind the truck to be seen clearly. "Drive!" Khan yelled. The driver threw the shifter forward into first gear and started the truck moving. The old guard aimed for the tires as he fired. The 4 tires in the back of the truck were immediately shredded by the high-speed bullets. 2 of Khan's men dropped down and started firing under the truck, which continued to roll away from the checkpoint, with the driver hunched over, trying to avoid the flying bullets in the darkness. Hafez rolled over. Blood ran from his stomach wounds. He was determined not to let this happen. He began firing at the truck and the driver from the ground. 3 of his bullets hit the fuel tank on the side of the truck. The tank exploded, tearing the truck in half and rupturing the heavy containers in the back of the truck underneath the scrap metal. "Let's go!" Khan screamed. "No, we must get the material," one of his men yelled. "No, it is too late. Get in the trucks!" Hafez continued to fire furiously at the truck. Khan and his men jumped back in the trucks and raced away from the burning truck. The driver jumped out of the cab and began to run as the entire back end came off the ground from the explosion of the extra fuel tank behind the cab in the back. Before he had gone 5 steps, he collapsed to the ground in a heap, dead. Hafez and the old guard put their heads down on the frozen dirt and died. Just like the cells in the driver's body, their bodies surrendered to the gamma rays coming from the weapon's grade plutonium.